Good evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to Abroad While Black, the show where we share stories of people of the diaspora who have chosen to leave their home birth country, typically the United States, for greener pastures in different places. So we know I'm Cordy Aziz. I'm the founder and executive director of Environment 360, and I've been residing in Ghana for 10 years. And then, of course, I always have my amazing co-host, Sean Burrowes.
How are you? Again, my name is Sean Burrowes. I'm the co-founder of Ingressive for Good, a foundation that's going to train 1 million African youth and connect them to 5,000 jobs and deploy $1 million in funding over the next 5 years. And I'm also the CEO of Burrowes Enterprises, committed to building an economic bridge between Africa and her diaspora. And we have my guy, Kevin Sumner, here today. You have a very, very interesting life, and I really want to dive into that. But before we get in there, I want to touch on a few current events. Cordy, I know you've been paying attention
but
to
how about Kevin introduce himself? How about we not just run ahead? How about we not just run ahead directly to the program and give Kevin a chance to say hello to the people?
My bad. Sorry, Kevin. I was just so excited.
Yeah. I guess there's a lot to be excited about. But I'm Kevin. I've been in Copenhagen now for about 7 years. And before that, I lived in Lima, Peru briefly for a little over half a year. And before that, I was living in DC, actually, at the same time both of you guys were.
Yay!
Yes. Yeah, so I actually left to go play basketball. I was working in finance in DC, and then I decided I wanted to play basketball overseas. So I went to Peru first because I had some connects, and then I came to Copenhagen because I had some connects. And then
I didn't know you was a baller.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then and so
okay.
Yeah, so I've been here ever since. So I came here in 2013. Yeah, so it's
little
kind of crazy.
Again, not only DC. I actually had a cousin years ago that played basketball in Ireland.
Ah, okay, cool. Yeah, we out here.
Nice one. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Cordy, I hope you don't try to start treating this like All-Star Weekend, all right? Just kind of keep your composure. Let's get into these.
Okay. Now, those people that know me in real life, including Sean, know I'm the furthest thing from a groupie ever. I'm like, God, I have no respect for no respect for a man.
I was just talking about current events. Come on now. Leave the past in the past. Let's go.
Hey, never.
I owe you from last week.
You know who
Cordy.
I am.
Mm-hmm. So what's been going on your side? I mean, we can get into this Trump, the election he's trying to sabotage. We can get into a couple of different things, or maybe we start with our guest. Kevin, what's been popping on your side? What's the thing that stuck out most to you in this last week or so?
In the last week or so, sheesh. It's a good question. You know, like out here in Denmark, the Black community is like really aligned with what's happening in the States as far as the Black community. So last week, there was a demonstration for Breonna Taylor.
Really?
Yeah, so like Black Lives.
To see these global movements of Black people, like pockets wherever they are, just like out here, fist up for the people.
Yeah.
What's your perspective? Like, I guess being in Denmark, what was your perspective on the whole Breonna Taylor just tragedy and how they handled that?
I mean, it's obviously tragic. Yesterday, I actually watched the interview of what's his name, Kenneth Walker. Well, what was her boyfriend's name?
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
I think it is Kenneth Walker.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah, the interview he did with Gayle King. It's crazy. You got to see it. Because it's,
okay. I haven't seen it, but do you think the boyfriend is shady?
No, I mean, from what I've seen of him, he doesn't come off as shady. you know, he had no criminal record and they found nothing in the house. They didn't find anything they were looking for. All the charges they had against him were dropped, and
Wow.
his story has been very consistent from the very beginning. So I mean, and if you listen to the interview, he sounds like a really good dude, and of course he's lawyered up because he's about to do a big lawsuit against
Of course.
against the Louisville police. So
I mean, I think they gave Breonna Taylor's family, what was it, 12 million?
yeah. So,
Wait, who gave her 12 million? The taxpayers.
He wants a little piece of that.
Yeah,
gave her
the taxpayers. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, for me, the whole thing is just super, super tragic. And actually, I mean, it's kind of crazy how the whole thing played out. I mean, because when you hear the story in detail, it's kind of crazy how he didn't get shot at all. And when you think about how many shots were fired by the police, I'm still trying to figure out how they missed all of it. But yeah, I mean, the whole story is just insane. It's so insane. And then the more you hear about Breonna, you know, the sadder you get. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So I can imagine, because like you said, you've been out of the country for quite a while now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I often tell people, like, because I've been gone for so long, sometimes it's like I'm connected, but I'm not really connected to what's happening. Like, how do you feel on your stance? Like, do you feel like this is still 100% relevant to your life? Do you feel like this is maybe one segment that you don't mind speaking on, but it's not your life, like your reality? Where are you in your alignment with what's happening in the U.S.?
Yeah, I feel like I'm 100% aligned with what's happening in the U.S. because I don't really think what's happening in the U.S. is really confined to the U.S. I feel like anti-Blackness is super global. I see it even here in Denmark. I think the U.S. is particularly violent for considering other Western countries because of our gun laws. But outside of that, I don't, like, Europe is racist as hell. You know what I mean? So there's a movement everywhere. And it's so nice. Like, I've seen the Black community in Denmark, like, really, really be charged up this summer and really start addressing things that are happening here in Denmark as well. So it's like we're aligned with what's happening in the States, and that's also allowing us to address what's happening here. So I think it's one and the same. I don't really see how Black people anywhere are separate from this. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, I think that's really good point. You know, so Sean and I often talk about this. You know, we live on the continent. I live in Ghana.
Yeah.
Sean lives in Nigeria. Sean, what's happening with this Stop SARS Now campaign that's like all over Nigeria? I'd love to say that we don't have police brutality against Black folks here, but I mean, at least I guess for us, we know it's more probably economic basis than racial basis. But Sean, what's happening with this SARS Now campaign, or End SARS Now over in Nigeria? And just side note, you know, I'm a little bit ignorant. So for those of you who also know me, you know, I'm not the savviest tech person, and I don't keep up with all the trends. So I saw End SARS Now, and I was like, COVID is really getting out of hand over there in Nigeria. And then finally I decided to Google it. I'm like, wait.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna try to sum this up so I don't get go way too far into this. So basically what SARS is the Special Anti-Robbery Squad. This was created in Nigeria maybe in the early 90s. And basically what had happened was that it was kind of crazy. Like, there were robberies, different things happened in Nigeria at this point in like broad daylight. So basically this squad was created out of locals who were just angry and tired of robberies happening, all these different things. And basically they all kind of banded together and stood up and started using like let's say like some really, really aggressive torture, whatever type of methods to basically get answers and basically start breaking down these different groups of people who were robbing people and doing such. So basically over time, I guess they were kind of successful in a certain way, not as much as, I mean, crime went down, but basically what you had was this squad of people that was controlled directly by the federal government that are still getting paid roughly like probably under $100 or no, like 60, $70 a month, living in squalor, and basically they gave them weapons. And at some point they kind of turned against the people that they were there to protect, and it was done aggressively. So you had things where it was now SARS that were busy like robbing people. They were doing things like basically like pulling you over, taking you to the ATM machine, making you take your cash out. There were like all these different like people, they were just killing people like left and right.
Yeah.
I feel like this story directly matches up with people's year of return stories. Like I've gotten a police extorting them during the year of return.
This was like aggressive. I don't know, man. I don't know how that one connects, but I guess what's really happening in Nigeria now is that like this is a youth-led leaderless movement all over the country where people are like, I had enough. They basically laid out what their 5 rules were. They started basically just congregating in major areas like here where I am in Lagos. This is basically like the Manhattan of sub-Saharan Africa. But basically people are blocking up off the most used toll bridges, gates, and different things. Areas that are making rich people a lot of money, they're stepping in and trying to block those areas and stop them, and basically just protesting. And in some cases you have reports of certain, I don't want to say, well, just say politicians and certain high-level people sending armed thugs and different things to different places to beat up people, and the crowds of protesters actually pushing people back, not only pushing them back, fighting back, but also taking them to the police, taking the ones they hurt to the hospital and giving them something to eat. And these protesters are basically self-organizing, self-raising money, basically buying food, supplies, even cleaning up after themselves when while they're doing all these different things. And it's basically a night and day difference between the youth of Nigeria and the previous generation, which would probably be our uncles, aunts, fathers, and mothers of that particular age range. So it's like it's crazy, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And what they're saying here is like what happened here. Like Nigeria is the biggest economy. It's the biggest group of people and whatnot. And what they're saying now is if this protest goes well and things actually change, this will set off a chain reaction all across the African continent. So I'll stop talking there, but like this is a very pivotal time. I'm happy to be here. Protesting, supporting them, donating, all these different type of things. It's an amazing time to be here.
Yeah. Sheesh. That was actually the most thorough explanation I've gotten of it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I like that.
I was foolish at first, but go ahead, Cordy.
But isn't it interesting worldwide how police continually victimize Black people? Is this more of like a power dynamic, more so than a racial? You know, one of the things I think living away from the U.S. is I feel like everyone is so hypersensitive about race right now. And I think a large part of it is given the political climate and, I mean, things that are going on. And I don't think anyone can deny that white males have become the largest group of domestic terrorists in the U.S. But sometimes when I look at things, I wonder, is there a certain level of hypersensitivity to racism? And are some of the things we talk about really more of a power dynamic? Because once again, you have the same thing happening here on the continent in Nigeria, where we're all Black. So do you think some of these issues might actually be more about a power play than actually a racism play?
I don't know. I honestly think it's all racism. And the reason why I think it is because because I mean there's a lot of anti-Blackness by other Black people on the continent, right? And a lot of that is due to how Africa has been raped by Europe and the US, right? And so now you have like this huge divide between the rich and the poor in Africa. And it's all a symptom of racism to me, like all of it. And so that power dynamic that you see there is you cannot disconnect it from how the continent has been raped by the Western world. Like I feel like all of it is symptoms of it, to be honest with you. But I do understand what you're saying about just the abuse of power. But particularly, I mean, why the cops may be so abusive in Nigeria is because they're not valuing Black lives just like Black lives aren't being valued other places. Yeah. So I think it's all a symptom of the same thing, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I think that's a really interesting point that you made, that it still comes down to the value of the life and how certain lives, regardless of where you are, there may be different things that separate you, but there's still just a lack of appreciation for life.
Yeah.
For very
Black
relevant.
lives. Yeah.
Very relevant. So another thing is, how is the COVID situation over there in Denmark? Are you guys, I mean, in Ghana, we're pretty low. I mean, we've just had a couple hundred cases in the past month or so. So, I mean, we're pretty much on coast over here.
Yeah, I don't think the numbers are that low. In fact, they started spiking kind of at the end of the summer towards the fall. Initially, we had, like a very quick and like we were one of the first countries that just like did a full lockdown. Even though it never really felt like I was super locked down. I mean, there was a point where there was nothing open but grocery stores, but it's not like we couldn't go outside or go to our friends' places or stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, this summer, to be honest, felt almost normal. The only thing that wasn't open was like nightclubs, but we could, travel pretty much to anywhere in Europe. And I traveled this summer. I had a good time this summer. I was, out and about, almost like COVID didn't even exist. So, but now, they've put more restrictions up. Like, for instance, we didn't start wearing masks in Denmark until last month. So there was nobody wearing masks anywhere until last month. And then, and so now they have this thing where they're closing like the bars and stuff at 10 o'clock.
Oh, y'all back on curfew. My girlfriend is in Kansas. She said that they about to go back on curfew too.
Yeah. So that sucks. And so it just means that, everybody is having house parties and stuff. To be honest, I'm not really a big fan of these lockdowns.
But real quick, Kevin, because you said that you play basketball, so how is this impacting you in particular? Because I know in the U.S. it really impacted sports and the schedule. So how is this going on with you? How is it impacting your personal life?
Yeah, so I mean, as far as basketball, I'll never forget. So we had a game on March 9th or March 10th or something, and then the very next day, everything was locked down. The season was canceled. I also work a full-time job out here, so I work in finance also. So, but a lot of other American players I know, they basically were sent home on the next flight. It was just lockdown, exactly season canceled, and people were out. Yeah, and
so just speak about multiple streams of income when you live abroad.
Yeah. So that's been super interesting. But this year, the season has actually started now. I'm taking a break for a few months just because I have this bone bruise just below my kneecap that I really want to heal. So I'm going to start back again in January. I was playing in the preseason, and then I was just in too much pain, so I just decided to take a break for a few months. So other than that, the season has pretty much started back as normal, they have restrictions on the number of people allowed to come to the games.
Okay.
But that's about it. So, yeah.
All right. Now that we're talking about, ball, bro, we know who just won the championship. Does that change? What's your position on the GOAT, man? Now that LeBron and the Lakers are there, LeBron got his 4th title. What is this, like his 3rd or 4th MVP, 3rd team?
Yeah.
What's up, man? Who's the greatest?
Yeah.
Man?
It's funny. I'm a huge LeBron fan, actually. But actually, my favorite player of all time is D Wade, and consequently, my favorite team is the Miami Heat. So I was actually going for the Heat in the finals. But I'm not mad. I'm not mad.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not mad that LeBron won, though. I'm actually happy for him. As far as the GOAT conversation, I can't place him above Jordan, but he's definitely, the conversation is definitely warranted. I mean, you got to consider this dude has played in, I think I saw a stat that he's played in like 51 of the last 57 finals games or something like
that. That's
impressive. Yeah. And I'm like,
that's when you got talent. You done made it.
Yeah. So he's been in the finals.
I wonder though, at this point, like, is it even a big deal to him? Is he just like, hey, going to the finals?
I think it is though, because like everybody who thinks they're like modern day great are chasing this shadow, or trying to get from under the shadow of Michael Jordan. And like, you have to like start off perfect. Like if you want to like be somewhere close to what Michael Jordan is now, like a 5-year-old needs to be practicing his free throws, knowing that you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hit,
I think it'd be interesting to get Jordan on the court now. Like it would be interesting, like to see Jordan 30 years ago versus some of these other guys in their prime.
Yeah.
Because I feel like talent has gotten a lot more raw from the time when Jordan.
Yeah. Talent is
like, I feel like these boys out here, they raw at like 14. Like, I think some of them could take a young Jordan. So I would be interested, like, if you reverse and take Jordan during his prime, would he still really be in his prime next to a LeBron?
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing about Jordan, though, it's like, it's easy to get caught in the moment with a lot of the current athletes. But if you go back and watch the tape and watch Jordan, like, this dude was magical. And it's not just relative to who was out there. If you really watch how he moves and how fast he was, and like the way he could contort his body, and like he just
actually you over there breaking it down like Michael Jackson. What's all this?
No. The way his layup package was sick.
She's not really a sports fan. She doesn't know. Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. I know the game. I know who he's been on. Yeah.
And we know, because I'm not a sports fan, what we're going to do is now get back to Kevin's background.
Yeah, we can talk about this all night.
Pull us back.
You said that you lived in Peru, you lived in DC. So take us to sort of like young Kevin. Where are you from? Where did you grow up? What are some of the things that have really sort of, or some of the life experiences you think that sort of prepped you for where you are living abroad right now?
Okay, so I'm from Durham, North Carolina. Yeah, and I went to like a super black high school. And then, super black high school. I love, actually, one of the things I carry around out here is my yearbook. And I love showing people here because they just can't believe that I was surrounded by so many black people. And I'm like, yeah, I did that. And then I went to HBCU. I went to Hampton. That's where I met Moyer, actually, Cordy.
Okay, that makes sense. HU.
Yeah.
The other HU.
Oh, you went to Howard?
No, I'm saying that Hampton is the other HU.
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not fighting. I'm not going to be as cocky. See, what it is that Howard University people have treated me so badly with their arrogance that I take every opportunity I can to take a shot. I congratulate you, Hampton University person.
Thank you. Thank you. Because especially as a sports person, we dominated Howard in everything. Like, there was a period where
Tell them, fans.
like the Hampton Howard football rival, like we had won like 20 years in a row. Like, it wasn't even a rivalry. So I'm just like, all right, Howard people. But yeah, so I went to Hampton on an academic scholarship actually. And I didn't even walk onto the basketball team until my senior year. And I walked onto the team my senior year, and then like one game deep into the season, because I was basically just riding the bench, right? And then one game deep into the season against A&T, like one of the players got ejected, and the coach, like, he was walking down the bench and he just looks at me. He's just like, Kevin, get in. And first of all, I used to dominate in practice, right? Every day. So I was like, all right, I'm going to get in. I'm going to just jack. Every time I get the ball, I'm going to shoot it. So I come in and I just got hot. Like, yeah. And so like I ended up having like 19 in the second half. And everybody was like, yo, who the is this dude? And then the next game, I had like 11 at halftime. And it was still, and this was like the very end of the season. And then, so they were like, yo, we want you to come back. So I ended up getting my MBA from there too, basically getting it paid for just to play basketball. So that was
so now this
cool.
is interesting, but you know what I really have to ask? What was the relationship between you and the dude that got ejected? And then like did he ever get back in the game again?
Forever.
Yeah. Okay, but the thing is, the dude that got ejected, we didn't play the same position. He was like a power forward. And he was actually really good because they had him on the like his freshman year of college, they had him on NBA draft.net as like a late first round pick. Like he was super athletic. And he ended up, after that year, he ended up transferring to Oklahoma State from Hampton and also being a starter there. So he was a baller. You know, he just had like a real bad attitude. So there was no issue between us. You know what I mean? He was like my biggest supporter, actually. He was just like, yo, he used to always tell me, yo, Kev, you could go to the league, yo. And I used to be like, yeah, all right. But yeah, so I came back. And then I got my MBA, and then I got a really good job offer in DC with Lockheed Martin. It's called Financial Leadership Development Program.
Now it all comes together because y'all used to be throwing them Capitol Hill parties. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I was in DC heavy. You know, I was. So for those people,
just real quick, I gotta give a little background for people who don't know. The biggest benefit of working for Congress is the free alcohol and amazing appetizers and other food and parties you get invited to by these private companies. This is a highlight of working for Congress.
Yeah, makes sense. That makes sense, man.
Wait, Cordy, are you admitting to being like in situations where bribery and corrupt behavior is happening? Is that your favorite part of?
Actually not when it's open like this. I think that you have to understand if you're not accepting a personal gift over a certain amount and it's something that's open and everybody is treated fairly and equally, it actually doesn't break any rules. Go ahead and take your back seat, Sean.
Yeah, I do need to distance myself from you. But
take
anyway.
That back seat.
All right, so I'm going through the bio now. So, yeah, tell us a little bit more. Like, what are some of the differences you see?
Wait, before we don't even know how he got a passport.
Okay.
How I got a passport?
How did you get a passport? What was your first abroad experience?
Man, if I share this story, I might have to kill you all. No, I'm just no, actually, man, my first My first abroad experience was insane. Now I have to tell the story. All right. So my senior year of college, one of the students
We must know, bro.
I was gonna say
organized.
senior year was lit for you though. Side
Yeah,
note.
my senior year of college, a fellow student organized a senior class trip to Jamaica. Now,
Oh, Daddy
and at
went.
this, yeah, and at this time, I didn't have a passport. And so, I ordered my passport and whatever. And I remember, I remember I was supposed to, room with one of my friends who was also from Durham. I had a girlfriend at the time. She was going to with her friends, blah, blah, blah. So here, to make a long story short, we pay this guy in installments throughout the course of the year. And he buys all the plane tickets. So, and the crazy thing is, my girlfriend at the time had this big project she was working on, which actually made us late for the flight we were supposed to take. So we called up the guy and it's like, hey, we're gonna miss the flight. Can you put us on another one? He's like, yeah, cool, no problem. He puts us on another flight to Jamaica. So we get to Jamaica, everything's cool. We get to the resort. They're handing us drinks and stuff. It's maybe 150 of us, maybe 200. I don't know. So we're all in the lobby just chilling. They're just like, yeah, your rooms aren't ready yet, but we're gonna get those ready for you. Just have some drinks, blah, blah, blah. So we're in there an hour and a half. And then they're like, yeah, come, we're gonna have this meeting in this room or whatever. So we go to the room, all 150 of us crammed into this room. And the lady that's managing the resort, she comes in and she's like, yeah, so the agreement was that he paid the money upon arrival. He doesn't have the money. Yo, so we're in Jamaica. Many of us, our first time outside of the country ever.
And you washing dishes for accommodation.
And they're telling us, dude didn't pay for the rooms. And we, imagine we paid a shitload of money throughout the course of the school year. And then first of all, I'm sitting here like, dude, how you gonna put me on this flight? And we don't even have and you knew this was gonna happen. I was like, what the fuck? So what ended up happening was, the students with credit cards just start ordering rooms, and then we just start cramming in rooms or whatever. So I remember I didn't have a credit card, but my girlfriend did. So she books a room and she has her friends in there staying with her, and then me or whatever, right? And so her friends were basically yo, her friends were we're not gonna take special care because you're here. So they were just walking around in the room butt ass naked. And I'm just sitting here
See, they couldn't be my friends. I don't know how your girlfriend felt about it, but let me tell you.
Okay, well here's the thing.
Unless your girlfriend, unless your girlfriend was in on it. Is
my
there more to the story?
my girlfriend was the coolest girl ever. She did not care at all. And also she knew she looked better than them. So she just didn't care.
Okay, Beyonce been cheated on though. Beyonce has been cheated on. Let's keep focused. Yeah. Keep focused.
Yeah, but I mean,
keep focused and stay humble, ladies. Keep focused and stay humble.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like I was in a room with them without my girl. You know what I mean? It wasn't a situation where it'd just be me and them. It wasn't like that. But it actually ended up
back. Okay, well that's good.
And it actually ended up being one of the best trips I've ever taken, just because we all came together and just we're determined to have the best trip ever. There was this one karaoke night where this guy was performing. He was doing Bob Marley, and he gets up there. He's like, "No money, no room." And he just freestyles the whole thing. But yeah, so this is the
That
story
sounds
of
amazing.
how I got my passport.
And I know Sean and I both also share love stories with Jamaica as well. I went for Sunsplash, had the most amazing, which is Reggae Splash, had the most amazing time ever.
Yeah.
And Sean's people are from Jamaica.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I went there for the first time with my grandmother, and basically it was one night out on the beach, partaking in local vegetation, so to speak. And I was just like, man, I could possibly like live like this. Just like everybody was so calm, cool, free, loving, Black positivity. I was like, man, that was like that first step into jumping out of the continent for me.
Okay, so you come back from Jamaica. Now, when did you decide, all right, I'm going to try something outside of the US of A?
Uh-oh, you're muted.
Okay, you hear me now, right? So the next time I traveled outside of the US wasn't, I think like the next year I took a trip to the Bahamas. But then after that, I didn't travel again until 2012. And that was when I went to Peru for the first time. And that was because of this semi-pro basketball team I was on. We went to Peru to do play a bunch of exhibition games. And that was super cool. And I was just like, yeah, from that moment, I was just like, oh yeah, I want to play basketball overseas. I'm gonna make this happen. So yeah.
But now let's talk about that, because you know what, though my cousin played for Ireland, this isn't something that I think most people that play sports really may even know exists. So how did you find this exhibition team? How did you get on?
Yeah, so I mean, not to toot my own horn, but like I was a pretty good basketball player. And
Go ahead and do the move.
The problem was I went, yeah, exactly. Kobe. I went to school on an academic scholarship. But like in high school, I was on one of the top teams in the state. I was like this, yeah. I was playing on a crazy team. I had crazy stats, and then I chose to go to Hampton on an academic scholarship. But then when I moved to DC, it was just like all I did was work and play basketball. And so I kind of just got into the in crowd of the DC basketball scene. And then one place would lead to another. You know, I'd meet someone and be like, hey, come play with us here. And then next thing I know, they're telling me, hey, come play on this team, come try out for this team. And then I make the team. So it was just very much word of mouth, just meeting people seeing I could play and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it seems to be like there's this like hidden hole. Like, I guess how would other people like kind of follow in those footsteps? Well, let me ask this first. Well, after you answer that one also, I'd also love to get your perspective on how you feel about top talent going to historically Black colleges and universities as well.
Oh, yeah. I always thought that, you know, if I was like this highly, highly recruited player that was being recruited by kind of the top schools, that I actually would have chosen to go to an HBCU. I always kind of had that mentality. And I graduated from high school in 2003. And I had that mentality then, and I wanted so bad, like for like kind of like the top players to go to HBCUs. So like I've been a big advocate for that, and I couldn't really understand why players wouldn't just do it. But people are, you know, they're so concerned with exposure and just having, and that's the thing, like the top schools have more money, they have better facilities, they have, you know, more TV time. So it's kind of hard to pass that up. But if all the top talent just goes to HBCUs, and the money goes to HBCUs, the TV goes to HBCUs. So
exactly.
I mean, you can control that narrative. So I've always wanted people to do that. So and I think, you know, the rise of social media, I think that eventually it was always going to get to that point. Eventually people were going to be like, yo, you know, we could just all go to Howard or whatever and just dominate. They'd be forced to put us on TV, you know? So.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking myself. And then even social media these days allows you to kind of create your own, kind of like what we're doing now. You create your own content, you create your own following. You can even start controlling your own narratives and different things like that as well.
Yeah. True.
So awesome. I see Cordy's dropped off her video for a second. But yeah, so
but the answer to the second part of your question. So really what set it off, where I was just like, all right, I'm gonna make this basketball thing happen. So the first thing that happened, and I'm not, because I can talk about this for a very long time, so I'm just only gonna touch on it. But in 2010, I found out I was adopted. Right. And so in this moment, and I actually took it, all things considered, I think I took it pretty well. And it's actually this year, well, last month, it was exactly 10 years since I found out. And I made a long Facebook post about it. And it's making me want to kind of like tackle this a bit more. So I went and got a therapist. So I'm going to start therapy next Friday.
Nice.
Yeah. But one of the things that allowed me to do it was like, all right, well, if there's anything I want to do is go overseas and play basketball. And like finding out I was adopted just made me really want to do it. Like no matter what I had to give up to do it. Yeah. And when I really realized that it was a real possibility, it was like, because I used to play pickup games all the time during the summer and stuff. And like, you know, these pro players would come from overseas and we would play these games and I would play with them. And a lot of times I would dominate. And I was like, all right, these dudes all play overseas. So obviously I'm good enough to play overseas. So that's when I started seeking out kind of like the semi-pro teams. And then I was just like, and then when we went down to Peru, actually some of my teammates actually just stayed there. Like they just got on some basketball team and just stayed in Peru. And I was just like, shit. So
you can like go through a series of like pickup games and like ball your way into semi-pro. I mean, I know I'm oversimplifying it. You got to be dope, but okay.
That's basically the blueprint. And then you got to be willing to give stuff up. So like after I went to Peru the first time, so in like March 2012, I was determined in March 2013 that I was gonna go and just stay. So for the whole year, like I'm like in my head, like I'm gonna quit my job and move overseas and play basketball. And so I had to just be willing to give up my life in DC, which I actually loved. I actually loved my job. I had a great social circle, but I was just like, man, if I don't do this, I might regret it for the rest of my life. And I was like, so I gotta at least try. So I did it. I went down to Peru the next time, and we did the tour, and then people went back, and I just stayed. And so then I just started meeting with like coaches and stuff, and then this one coach, he was super excited to have me. And then the crazy thing is the very first game, it went into overtime. It was a TV game, went to overtime, and I hit the game-winning shot at the buzzer. And it's on YouTube. That's the crazy thing. And then, and that feeling that I got in that game, like I was so happy. And I was like, I've never felt this doing anything other than playing basketball. And I was like, this is definitely the right decision. So I just kind of, ever since that just kind of gave me the drive to just continue doing it. And then, you know, when the season was ending in Peru, it's just like, okay, what now? I don't want to go back home. And then I had a friend out here in Copenhagen, and I asked her what basketball was like. in Copenhagen. She's like, it's not that big, but you're definitely good enough to make a team. If you want to come out here and try out for a team, you can just stay here. So I bought a ticket from Lima to Copenhagen instead of going home. And I gave myself about 3 weeks to find a team. So I actually had a ticket to Lima. I mean, from Lima to Copenhagen and then back to DC. And it was supposed to be kind of just after Labor Day. I was going to fly back to DC. But within that time frame, within that 3-week time frame, I just found a team. And then I signed the contract, got the work visa, work permit. And then I've literally been here ever since. So
I love these types of stories.
Yeah.
Because it really goes to show about taking a leap of faith. And I think that when you look at living abroad, this is the one key element that everybody has in common. It's like you do that one thing that you don't know if it's going to pay off, but you're willing to try it.
Yeah, exactly. So that was what I did.
So I gotta know this, man. I mean, you don't have to give like too many details, but like, what's the finances like on this thing, man? Like, you're going, like, you decided to leave the job completely behind, and there's money in DC. So like,
I was gonna say, because Lockheed Martin, I don't know what level you was at, but I know Lockheed.
Yeah. So the crazy thing is, so I was in this leadership development program, and it was like, man, it's crazy how much I actually planned this out in my head without actually planning it out. So I was basically like, all right, I'm gonna do this leadership development program and I'm gonna complete it. And so basically once you finish the program, you have to apply for a leadership position, right? So I got put on as like I basically there was a contract with the FAA, and I just got like a small finance invoicing team that I was managing, and it was we were invoicing maybe like I don't know, I think we were invoicing like $10 million a month or something to the FAA. And then I was just responsible for making sure, Anyway, so I had like a little team that had to like, because they have like these crazy requirements for invoicing the government. So they want like so many proofs of everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I just had like a little team just collecting documentation, literally all month. The job was just to do that. And so I made like just over like 100K or whatever. And I had only been working that job for about 6 months or whatever. And the crazy thing is I took it knowing that I was gonna quit in March.
Wow.
And I actually
that money.
Yeah. So I was basically just saving my money. And then, so then I left, and then I gave myself like, I thought I had like a year of living comfortably without having to worry about money for real. Because actually when I went to Peru, I was making like $1,000 a month or something. And my rent was $900.
Okay.
Yeah. So it wasn't about money at all. And so then when I came here, I also wasn't making a lot of money. I think I got my contract, I was making like $2,000 a month. And so then what ended up happening is, so I played the season here, and then I actually went home for the summer, and I'm just home, and I'm chilling, and my mom is like, so are you gonna keep playing basketball? Are you gonna start working? What are you gonna do? I was like, I'm going back to play another season. So I was like, I'm gonna go back, play another season. So I go back, and one of my teammates, actually I'm talking to the manager of the team, and he's like, yeah, so what were you doing before you came out here? He was like, so at the time I was 29. He was like, I thought you were like 23, 24, but you're actually like 29. And then I was like, yeah, I was working in finance in DC before I came. And then he was like, oh yeah. He was like, what were you doing? And then I'm explaining it to him. He was like, oh yeah, send me your CV. And then apparently one of my teammates' father was like the CFO of like this kind of mid-sized company out here. And then he sends him my CV, and so he wants to meet me. So then we meet one day, and then we meet, I think just before one of my games. And then he was like, yeah, so next week, come up to the office. I want you to meet some of the people there. So I go up there, I meet like the CEO, and then we're talking. It wasn't even like an interview. We were just like talking or whatever. And then next thing you know, they were just like, yeah, we want to give you a job. We just don't know how. We don't know how that works. And then I was like, okay, let me do some research. So I go online and I figure out, what I got to do to get this job. And then they have in Denmark what's called the positive list. And it's basically like a list of occupations that they'll give you if you're qualified for it and if you have
exactly
a job offer for. So I was like, yeah, I mean, so if you offer me this job, I can apply through the positive list. And then, so then they offered me the job, and I started in January. They offered me the job in like October. And then I started that job in January. So I did like the whole work permit process and stuff. And then, so then I just started working with the CFO of like this machine company. And I was kind of like his right-hand man. And that was kind of cool. So I did that for like 3 years. And then and I was still playing basketball. It was so crazy because his son played, and we would have games like on the other side of the country in the middle of the week. And I remember the first time like that situation came up, and I was like, man, I need to tell him I need to leave early so I can go play this basketball game. So he comes up to me just before lunch, and he's like, yeah, so you ready to head to the game? And I was like, yeah. He was like, yeah, I'm taking you. So he took me to the game.
That was cool.
What? Yeah.
A lot of pressure off.
Yep, no pressure.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was really cool. So I did that for 3 years, and then the crazy thing is the company basically offered him the CFO position of our North America company. So he was moving actually back to the States. He was moving to the States, my boss. And then he asked me if I wanted to come too. And I'm like, nah, I don't. So he just basically, he wrote me a letter of recommendation. I just started looking for another job. And then I found the job that I have now. And I'm still playing basketball. So that's kind of how I've done.
So now I have to ask because I mean, Denmark, so I've been to several different European countries. I've spent a lot of time in Germany, which is very close to Denmark as well.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel like in this whole situation with the bosses, all of that you were the token Black, or did you feel like it was really genuinely like, I'm good, this is really like not just too good? Like, what was the inside feeling like? Were you just like, I know what I am, but I'm gonna play this role? Was it the Lockheed situation again?
You know what? In my last job, I never really felt that, even though I was like the only Black person in the whole company. It seemed like, at least in Denmark. But it was also one of those companies where like a lot of the employees were fairly old, and everybody had just been there for a long time. And they were not concerned about political correctness or diversity or anything there. So I knew the reason why I had the job was because I knew the CFO's son and I was his teammate. But then I don't think they just knew how capable I was when they first hired me for the job. And so then I think I just ended up being like a pleasant surprise for them.
Awesome.
But actually in the job that I have now, I do feel like a token a lot of times because like for instance, what they always want me to do, like the marketing team and stuff. They're like, Kevin, can you come like do this
This presentation on diversity and inclusion.
Yeah. It hasn't gotten there yet, but like there have been times where like I've been recorded saying stuff about the company and stuff like that. And I'm like, obviously I know why they're asking me. And then I get put on the like the company intranet all the time, like when they are announcing stuff, like they'll have pictures of me on there. Like it'll be times where like I'm at my desk and like literally photographers will come and just like, hey, can we do a little shoot right now? And then like my coworkers are looking at me like, oh, you're famous. I'm like,
looking at you like, hey.
You already know why this is happening.
We got you, bro.
I'll be trying to boost your modeling career.
I'm just saying. Well, yeah. I mean, you touched on a few things. So I guess I don't want to go too far and have you telling us about this stuff when they kick you out of your current spot. But you got a side hustle? You got a personal or a private initiative that you're working on as well?
Actually, I've actually started working on a podcast similar to yours with one of my American friends here. We haven't released anything yet, but we've recorded like 6 people. And it's a bit different because the way we do our editing and what we're doing is called You've Got Options, right? And so like we actually highlight the different ways.
Go ahead. Clap.
We actually highlight just kind of the history of like Black people or Black Americans in different countries or whatever, and then we highlight the different ways that you can actually move to that country. So like the actual legal ways that you can move to that country. So we kind of have like this supplementary information. And then like, so our podcast will record for like an hour and then we edit it heavily because it's like a lot of voiceovers because we're just trying to tell a story. So we haven't released anything yet, but it's in the works.
So I have to say, I love it because I feel like, particularly with podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, like it's so many options out there for Black Americans to really like start doing research and really realize, like you said, like there's so many options outside of the U.S. And somebody might, and you know, one of the things, I'm just going to go back a little bit. You mentioned that you were getting paid like $2,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
Somebody might say, I can't live on $2,000, but then let's talk about the benefits of Denmark because people may not understand the lifestyle. And Denmark is one of these countries where I know you have access to free healthcare, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
How is everything set up in Denmark? Like when you look and put into perspective $2,000, like, do you feel like it's the same as being paid $2,000 in the U.S.?
Well, the cost of living in Denmark is pretty high, but like you said, as far as like for instance, if I grew up here or whatever, or even here now, if I wanted to go to university, I wouldn't have to pay. So you grow up, you don't have to pay to go to university. In fact, you get paid to go to university here. And of course, you never have to worry about if something happens to you as far as like the doctors and stuff like that. In many ways, but I mean, the thing is, like, if you're a basketball player or whatever, and you play particularly in Copenhagen, because none of the teams really pay well. Like, there's some teams on the other side of the country that like are like high level teams, but the teams here aren't really like, I mean, they don't really compete well with the teams on the other side of the country because their budget is just so much smaller. We don't have like the same type of sponsors and stuff like that. But what they'll end up doing is like, they'll find like somewhere for you to stay for free. Like, they'll have like someone from the club like sponsor you, so you'll live with them. Like they'll have like some rich person will have like a big ass house and like house you there or something like that. So they get around a lot of things. So like the money you're getting paid is like pretty much all pocket money because you don't have any expenses. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Makes
So
a big difference, Bill.
Yeah. So it works like that. Yeah.
Because I know for us in Ghana and Nigeria, it's the same too. We deal in cash.
Yeah.
So I'm so far removed from the credit system. I recently had a baby and I went back to the US and it was so odd to me. It took me like months to get on this whole debit card, swiping every place because I'm so used to having cash that like it's foreign to me. And people, it was like I was foreign because I carried around so much cash. People were like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
I don't know about that one. In Lagos, swipe me down. I'm on. We do a lot of swiping. Like, we're very, very conscious of how much cash we keep on us as well.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, man, Denmark is almost a cashless society. I mean, I don't need cash for anything now. So the only person that takes cash is my barber. So I have to pay him in cash. That's literally the only time I use cash ever.
Yeah, if you don't have cash, I feel like in Africa, you ain't making it, boo.
Yeah.
You ain't making it. You either got it or you don't. Like, I was telling people, like, even cars, everything, we pay everything up front in cash. Like, but I feel like it makes you, like, it gives you such a greater appreciation of wealth. Yeah. Like, in really understanding how to make your money work for you and really sort of putting things into perspective. But I do agree it's not for everybody, and a lot of people flop within 2 years because they can't keep enough liquidity to be able to survive.
Yeah.
Running into cash crunches. I gotta ask this one, bro. I'm always the one. I'll continue to be the one. How is the dating life out there? The relationships? How is this thing?
I know your mama wondering because you in about your mid-30s now. Look.
I know you out there. I know you're the one thing that's not like the other, so to speak. What's that like? Have you found your own circle, or are you getting cherry picked by the thirsty ones? What's going on, bro?
Yeah. I actually just got out of a relationship like a month ago. But like my girlfriend. You want to talk
about it? We can talk about it right now.
Yeah, sure. I don't care. Yeah, sure. It's fine. So
you don't like her, right?
Nah, I mean, I don't have any
Wait, was that a tear? Are you wiping tears?
No.
Right now?
No. I don't have any ill will towards her or anything. So she's half Togolese and half Danish, actually.
Interesting.
And very, very, very beautiful. But it didn't work out. And I would say the thing that I don't like about dating in Denmark is that there are so few Black people here. So, of course, you have like, the pick of the litter with the white women, but also like white women, like they fetishize you and like, it's not really my thing.
Okay.
And then the problem is
you
there's
got
so
sisters
few
all over the world standing up and crying tears of joy and clapping for you right
now. Low clapping.
But the problem in Denmark, right? There's so few Black people that like, I mean, you date one Black girl and then like, if her friends are Black, then you just eliminated half of the dating pool.
You're going to get pulled into the get out situation because you can't get with the sisters.
Yeah, it's so tough. It's so tough. So I feel like every single time like I've gotten out of a relationship here, and not that it's been like a whole lot of times, but it's just like I'm always thinking like, dang, I got to start dating outside of Denmark because like her friends are like who am I gonna date? You know what I mean? Like She know all the black girls.
Dang. Wait.
But
You didn't poison the well, did you?
but
Oh,
then
God.
I'll find someone outside of the circle that I like, and then I'm like, all right, we can do this. So
You can make
yeah,
it
so
work.
just yeah, but a lot of it's particularly Black American basketball players. They'll come here and they'll find like a Danish girl, and like that Danish girl will lock them down. They'll have a kid, and then next thing you know, they never go back home. Like, because I mean, people have nice lives out here, so they're just like, man, like, if I can come out here, just stay out here, I ain't got to worry about nothing. I'm just chilling. So they have like their little mixed babies and going about their life.
man, I can't hate on them. Them, bro. You gotta do this live out here.
Yeah. So, but actually, man, one of my homies, like his wife, like they have 2 kids now. His wife is actually, her dad is Black American, and then her mom is half Danish, half Black American. So he found him like a sister out here. Okay. And they got like, but she grew up here, so she Danish, but like she got Black American blood. And it's just like, I'm like, yo, how you find her, yo? Like, yeah. So he got real lucky with that. Yeah.
Okay. But how is it like if you're dating like the local Danish women, like, are they like, is there that tension, that racial tension? Because I remember, like, you know, I've dabbled on the other side of the line a couple of times, and then when I was in America, and it was just like, I couldn't date seriously because in the back of my mind, I was like, I'm gonna have to meet your daddy, and your daddy ain't gonna like me. Your daddy ain't never gonna like me. I might have been paranoid, but that's fine.
The thing is, I can't really compare it to the States because, like, in the States, I never dated any white woman. So that was, but here I have, and what I sense is that there is a lot less racial tension. But I do feel like there's a lot of racial ignorance, you know, like where they just really haven't had to confront race none of their lives. So they're like ignorant to a lot of things. So like a lot of times you catch them saying things that you're just like, yo, did you really say that? And you have to check them. You know what I mean? And I don't really feel like doing that, to be honest. It's not really, yeah. So there's that. So, yeah. But I don't think it's, like, I would be much more comfortable meeting, like, a Danish parent than, like, a Danish white parent than, like, a American white parent. Just
especially
to put it in
perspective.
In North Carolina. Yeah. So that's just, I mean, that was just out of the question at home. There was no way I was dating a white woman. Like, that was on both sides. I didn't even think about it, to be honest. Like, it wasn't even a thought. But there's also just so many more Black women. So there's no need to even consider it. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Well, I'm glad you think that way. Some of us don't. How was it different from Lima, though? Like, in Lima, was you on the scene there as well?
Yeah, so in Lima, I met this girl who she was like this Afro-Peruvian that I thought was super beautiful. And the crazy thing is, I remember when I first got there, she did not speak much English. And this is actually a crazy story. So she could speak English, but it wasn't like that great. But we could definitely communicate. We had no problem communicating. But what was
Can you
crazy, elaborate
on have any problems communicating and she doesn't speak English that great? I'm just curious.
Well, a lot of it. No. It wasn't like her English was like non-existent. Okay. I mean, she understood everything I was saying.
Y'all had the language of love going on.
Just sometimes she just wouldn't have the words in English, like some of the words, and she would just have to think about it and yeah, but like but it wasn't, her English was better than most Peruvians for sure. But the crazy thing happened with her. So we were hanging out like every day out there. And then I told her, I was like, I'm leaving to go to Copenhagen. And she was just like, she was kind of sad, but then she was like, my aunt lives in Copenhagen. Like, how random is this? And she was super serious.
I can get to Copenhagen.
Yeah. And so we stayed in touch. And then a few years, like 3 years after I got here, she hits me up and she's just like, yeah. So I'm coming to Copenhagen for 6 months to study English. So there was this English school here and she was just going to stay with her aunt and go to this English school. And she hit me up and we hung out here too. And it was crazy, like how random. Like the whole time I just couldn't believe it. Like I was just like, I met this girl in Peru and now you're here in Denmark, and not because of me particularly. It's just like the world just felt so small.
The world
you know
is
what I mean?
is really interesting. Really interesting.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I tend to find I try to find the Black women wherever I go. So
we probably got about another 10 or 15 minutes left, but I think it's always important because, we have these shows, like you said, and people talk about, you have options or what it takes to live abroad, but people don't think about all the challenges as well.
Yeah.
Living abroad.
Yeah.
Talk with us about some of the challenges that you've had or some of the things that you miss that just aren't the same.
Yeah. So I obviously miss Black American culture. And in a lot of ways I miss, American culture, being able to watch the NBA games at 7:30 in the evening at a bar, you know what I mean? Or just how social
with
Americans are. Yeah, with wings. And how social Americans are in general. So just the idea of just going to a bar by yourself and just mingling with people and just kicking it.
We on the same page.
Yeah, that does not exist.
As a woman in Africa, you can't go out to the bar by yourself.
Yeah. So yeah.
A
Yeah. So I miss that a lot. And then just kind of just Black American swag, man, how we just, I don't know, there's just a certain coolness to us that I don't really think, and of course this is my culture, so I think I miss that. So I actually created a group here called Black Americans in Copenhagen. So I went out and found all the Black Americans I can find, and then we have events and stuff, and then doing that makes me feel at home. So we'll have a spades night and we just sitting and playing spades and stuff like that is what I miss. Yeah. Okay. And I definitely just miss the whole sports culture of just going out and watching the games, man. That was actually the first thing I missed when I came out here. I was just before I even started realizing I miss my own people, I miss the sports. Yeah. So
I'm still up sometimes trying to stay up to 4 or 5 a.m. to watch NBA games and NFL games on YouTube. Who got that live stream? Who got it?
Yeah. I do the same.
And so what do your friends and family say as well? Because another thing that we've heard from other guests, and Sean and I have talked about, is sometimes when you tell people you're living abroad or you're going to move abroad, you get a lot of mixed reactions. And even when you're still abroad, you still get a lot of mixed reactions. Like you said, you came home, your mom was like, okay, so are you getting a job?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a fun part of your life.
Yeah. And I'm nah, I'm still doing this. Yeah. So I feel it doesn't happen as much now, but I think maybe 3-4 years ago, it was always yo, you coming home? When are you coming home? And they weren't talking about visiting. They were talking about for good. And I'm yeah, I gotta make sure I do everything I want to do out here, and I just haven't gotten to that point yet. So, but now, especially with like the COVID stuff, they're like, man, don't come back.
The roles have reversed.
Yeah, they're like, nah, you got it good out there. Don't come back.
You hit the African continent yet?
Last year I actually went for the first time. I went to Cape Town for a week, a little over a week actually, and that was amazing. I mean, it was like one of my friends got married in New York and then invited like 30 of us to Cape Town. So we rented like these 2 giant villas, and it was just a very, it was a very amazing experience. It was mostly people from Hampton. So, it was all Black people, and we rolling deep everywhere we go. So like, that was fun. And it was really fun, like meeting people on the street, and they'd be like, you talk to them and they'd be like, welcome home, brother. Welcome home. And I'd be like, yeah, this is what I'm talking about. So yeah, I definitely gotta go to West Africa next, and particularly Ghana. That's where I want to go next. So
yeah. Ghana's a great
you're
introduction.
welcome. Hit me up when you get in town. Hit me up when you get in town.
For sure. So whenever they open these borders back up.
Yeah. And then let me know when you get to Ghana. It's about an hour flight to Lagos. So I would definitely, once you get that close, you might as well make a trip to
Yeah. Might as well do both.
I agree. I tell people when you come to Ghana, you might as well hit, because even Togo is like 45 minutes from Ghana.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you come into Ghana, you might as well move around to one or 2 other countries as well, just to get a different feel for things. So do you see yourself ever going to live back in the U.S.? Because as you mentioned, for you, it's more of maybe you haven't done what's accomplished. Do you think that, I'm definitely going to eventually like get there, settle down, wife, kids in the U.S., or are you confident that the life that you're building is a life that you want to continue?
I'm actually undecided.
I mean, you could be undecided in life.
Yeah, so actually, I've never actually thought that I would be here forever. I never actually thought I would be here for 7 years either. So, but it all depends. A lot of it depends on what happens in my personal life. It's just so many variables. It depends on how long I continue to play basketball. So it depends on, what happens in, my other career, and just what kind of opportunities present themselves.
I mean, your other career, you golden, because like you said, you're the face of the company right now. So
You just take photos of yourself and send it to them every week or so. They'll be like, yeah, keep them on that. Keep them on payroll. He is diversity.
Yeah, that's actually. So I don't know. I haven't decided, because there's so many things I miss about being home, but there's also so many things I love about being here. Just like even like the just work culture, and just like, I'm taking at the very minimum 6 weeks of vacation every year here.
The mental health aspect is important.
Yeah, and that's expected of me. So,
Europeans do not joke with their August vacations.
Yeah, so it's just like, it's expected. They don't care. They'll cut you
short.
Vacations.
Like everybody will cut you short. Like, it's my vacation. I'll be gone for 4 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I'm getting too used to the culture, man. So I'm scared of a reverse culture shock going back home, where people are working too much, and I'm like, I don't do that. Yeah. So,
because of Corona, I ended up in the U.S. I think I was there 7 months, maybe 8 months straight.
Yeah.
I can't live in the U.S. This is, I think, one of the things, because I had the baby, I was like, well, maybe I'll be spending more time in the U.S. now, coming back and forth, like doing a few months here, a few months in Ghana. I learned I got like a 3-week limit on the US. Like
Yeah.
3 weeks and I'm good. Like
Yeah.
I don't need a
Yeah.
month. I don't need 6 weeks.
Yeah.
2 months, I'm already about ready to jump off a bridge. 3 months, I'm in depression. 4 months, I'm crawled up in the bed crying every day.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, there are definitely pros and cons. So we'll see. Because the thing is, also in the States, like I got like my nephews who are like 9 and 7, and like one of my nephews called me every day, like, and they're just like, Uncle Kevin, when you coming home? And then when I get there, they're just like, I mean, they want to go everywhere with me, and like just that genuine love, man. It's just like, man, I don't know if I could just like spend my whole life just away from them. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
That's real. Has anybody in your family come to visit you since you've been in Copenhagen?
I had one cousin come.
You see?
And that's it. But my parents, they don't even have passports. Like they're not there. They've already
They have no
explicitly
intentions.
said, yeah, they like, nah, we ain't going out there. So yeah. But they like, my mom be like, yeah, I love it when you show me on FaceTime. It looks nice. It looks really nice, but I ain't going. Yeah. So that's her. That's kind of attitude towards it.
I mean, it's true that they don't. I mean, folks, that's just how folks do you when you move. I mean,
Yeah.
just how folks do you.
Yeah.
So I understand. I think I had my family come out when I got married last year. I swear, if I wouldn't have gotten married, nobody would have came.
Yeah.
And I was even shocked. I think I had like 15 people come. I was even shocked. I got 15 people.
Yeah. Yeah, I've actually thought about that. Like if I was to ever get married, where would I do it? And it's just so many variables. Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like I've been separated from the US so long. Like just none of my life is there. Like my whole world is in Ghana right now.
Yeah. That's
my
nice.
whole world.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're towards the end of the show here. So what we like to do is always give an opportunity for you to give words of wisdom, because I think one thing, as we have talked about, is living abroad consistently is not easy. There are things that can make your life a lot easier, or things that you need to consider when you're looking at where you want to live in this type of thing. So if you were going to give somebody some words of wisdom to, if you want to make a move, this is what I think you should do, what were going to be those words of wisdom?
I think like in my case, it was based on a passion of mine. And I think I'm a big advocate of people pursuing their passions. And if you feel like you have a passion that can be cultivated overseas, then do it. You know what I mean? And literally don't let anything stop you. Don't let finances stop you. I mean, my favorite book that I ever read was The Alchemist. And, you know, kind of the theme of that book is that, when you follow your heart or your dreams, the universe conspires to help you. And I've seen that become true. Like just having my friend just being like, yeah, you can come out here and try out for a team. Like I barely knew her. Like I knew her from like a rec team I was playing for in DC that like had guys and girls on the team. And like one of the girls on our team was Danish, and she just moved back to Denmark the same time I moved to Peru. And it was just so random that I just saw her post something on Facebook one day. And then she's like, yeah, you can come stay here and try out for a team. You know what I mean? It's just like people want to help you when you are, you know, pursuing something you love. So lean on it. Yeah.
I think that's great advice. Follow your passion.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for sharing your story. And one thing I have to say that I've enjoyed about this interview is I feel like you've been so open about everything. Like just the real, raw, open stories, going in depth, and hopefully it really helps somebody that is looking at living abroad, and knowing that it is possible and you can do it doing a variety of things, and you don't have to have everything worked out before you get there.
Nope,
You
we
know.
sure don't.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
thank you so much for your honesty, for sharing that with us, for coming out. It's much appreciated. Sean, what's up? What you got to say over there?
Man, again, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming and sharing that wisdom with us. A lot of us, we travel to a lot of places, but you found a pretty, I don't want to say a dark corner, but you found an interesting corner of Europe to reside in.
Yeah, yeah.
I love the feedback. As we always say when we close out, please be sure to follow us and check out these that we drop every Sunday at 7 p.m. West African time. That would be, what is that, 6 p.m. your time in Ghana, Cordy? That's going to be
6
2
my
p.m.
time
in
in
Midwest. What's
4
that?
p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Okay.
Awesome. All of that one. Yes, and be sure to follow us on our social media, Facebook, Instagram, following Abroad While Black. Thank you all, and we'll see you again very, very, very soon. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for
Cool.
joining us. Have a good night.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Bye.
All right, so we give the guy.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can tell Kevin doesn't know we pre-record. Did he cut off?
He was about to jump off. All right, bye.
It was interesting, though.
I was
I
actually about to be out.
basketball. Yay. Oh, you are still here. Okay.
Yeah, I'm still here. I was about to
Good
be
thing
out.
I had something
We
positive
need to talk about that too. Go ahead, please. Say what you was gonna say.
But you know what's crazy? I actually hit the button, but it didn't work. And then I was like,
It's them. You're still here.
yeah. So I'm
we
still
typically
here.
recap. But thank you so much. I mean, I really enjoyed that interview, and I'll be interested to see your podcast as well. So, I mean, definitely get it out there. And I mean, you can do what Shauna and I did. I mean, we just sort of let it evolve as time goes on. We get a little bit better with it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're doing. That's exactly.
Yeah, we used to do Facebook Live, and then we realized there were so many issues. We started pre-recording.
Yeah.
Because our internet is like today. It was a good day, but as you say, I have to go feed the baby sometimes.
Yeah.
My battery died.
Yeah, the internet was really the biggest surprise. Typically, it'll drop off once or twice.
Yeah.
But
I know, right? The internet was decent.
Like flawless.
Yeah, we had a good night.
Oh, but bro, we're always like looking how we can like share and push out content and stuff like that. So like if you guys get some stuff together, I'd be more than willing to help share it, push it out for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that actually. So
definitely.
I guess you can look at some of the interviews we've had and then kind of like get an idea. Maybe if we know a couple of people that would be interesting as well.
Yeah,
we are working together.
It's true. We can do a whole dialogue.
Yeah, it would be fun.
You know,
so yeah, but it's definitely something that I can already sense is just going to be a work in progress. It's going to evolve as we go, and like so it's been fun. It's been fun. Like I'm just like you. Like I ask all sorts of questions. So the same way I'm being interviewed is the same way I ask questions. Like I asked, how much money did you have in your bank account when you left? Like I asked all sorts. Yeah, I asked the real stuff. I definitely ask questions about dating. Like I get real piercing with these questions. So I get it. So that's why I was.
You see, you caught Sean on a non-drinking night. If you would have caught him on a drinking night, it probably would have been a lot.
Yeah.
Well, you can tell the difference. Maybe I've been drinking.
Yeah. So.
I hope not.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. I hope not, Sean. I'm praying for you, my friend. Get your life.
Yeah, but I definitely want to go to both Lagos and Accra. So
you should. It's amazing. Yeah. You know, I tell people I really love Ghana. Don't come like during a time where it's overhyped. Like everybody wants to come in December. It's really overplayed. You can't even enjoy the city. They've hiked up prices for everything. Like, come with you can get an authentic experience.
Last December though was crazy though. Last December was crazy.
Wait, were you there?
No, but everybody and their mama was there. Like my whole social media feed was Ghana. Like I was just
so I mean I was in the US. I also don't get pregnant during holidays. That was a vital lesson for me last year.
Yeah. And this year everybody's in Tulum. Have y'all peeped that in
Nah,
Mexico?
what's that?
Don't get
Yeah,
pregnant
like,
during the days.
It's
Yeah.
like one of the few places they allow Americans to travel. So like all these black people are just rolling up to Tulum, and like
Okay.
I swear, like every week it's a new person I know in Tulum, and I'm like, did I miss the
Okay.
memo? Like, yeah. So that's the new hot spot.
It is
Okay.
the new hot spot.
Yeah.
But yes, I'll
It
say
can be a
this.
little annoying,
I
but
don't
it's
know where
good.
you, like where you are on this roller coaster of life, but if this thing is still going up, I would say December in Lagos is lit. Like everybody's here from everywhere. So I don't know, like see Cordy, you're still not connected to like the hip hop space, like the party scene. Just because you hit 30s and start getting higher up in there doesn't mean life is over.
It's
You can
not
still
that.
enjoy.
I've evolved. Sean, men, you guys mature a little bit slower than women.
I'd say better.
It's
Slower is
cool.
another way to say
It's cool. Sean is in his 40s, still in his 20s. It works for him.
I'm 38.
I'm a little bit more laid back. I'm a lot more laid back.
You're
Sean is
also
still
my
in his
senior.
prime. Sean is in his. I've expended my prime 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I keep finding
When
new
I hit
primes.
35, it was over.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed my
that's-
first 5 years of life in a crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well. I
It
definitely
was
consider
awesome.
myself still in my prime. So
Like once
Yeah.
again, men mature. You guys mature. You'll be
Mature better,
45,
yeah.
like in the club with like some 26-year-old. Like you just showed up in your skinny jeans and flower tank top. It's cool. That's what men do.
I don't see any issues with that.
I have no problem.
26? 26 is such a good age.
It's
You know,
amazing. I'm not gonna lie.
If you date a 26-year-old as a man, like it's really nothing nobody can say, no matter how old you are. Because 26-year-olds are pretty mature. And they
old enough to know what they're doing.
Yeah, they old enough to know what they're doing. They look good. It's a good age.
you see, there's a whole generation of fly 35 plus women as well. Focusing. How old is Ronke now, Sean?
Ronke, so I'm about to get married soon, but I can't live by. So Ronke is
When
like
are you
31.
proposing?
When I
How
want
old is
to.
Ronke?
31, 32.
Yeah.
Oh, Ronke is young. I didn't realize she was that young.
Yeah.
I should have known though. If she was
You
my
should
age,
have.
she probably would have pulled around and left you by now.
You would have probably. To hide under a rock or go knitting or I don't know, whatever, reading Amazon books online, whatever it is you do, yes. She'd have left you.
You're a hater.
But if you're still holding on to the living.
And then
so
another thing Sean fails to realize is that I'm well respected in my industry. I just can't be out here wilding like people respect me. Like I'm known as an expert. Like
I don't know, man.
I can't be seen in public like that.
The president of the United States be wilding, like straight up wilding.
Right.
He's the
Because
president
he's
of the
made it.
United States.
Let me really officially make it and then start wilding again. Let me make it first.
White Pac.
Like
if I was white, Trump would be a rock star to me. Like if I was like a white nationalist, like Trump is like a freaking rock star. He says all the right things. He does all the right things, with the exception of collapsing the entire country into chaos.
Trump is on his A game.